Welcome to the first episode of See It Like Strev. This is a show for the fans from the perspective of players. And why am I doing this? I just retired from football. Why are you on YouTube talking about the CFL? I got 3 reasons. Number 1, I love this league and I love the game. This league has given me so many opportunities. It afforded me an opportunity in the NFL. And because of that, I want to show love and exposure right back to this league as they continue to expand in media and down south in America. Also, number 2, I believe as someone who is recently retired, played quarterback at the highest level in the CFL, in the NFL, won a championship, I believe that I'm uniquely positioned to be able to speak on the caliber of player that's in the CFL, the level of talent that we have up there. I've been on record the last couple of weeks going out and saying, I think the top 10% of a CFL team, if put in the right opportunity, if put in the right situation, could go compete to make an NFL roster, and I stand on that. That's why I want to use my platform to showcase that game, to showcase those players and some of the great things that make this game so unique and special. And number 3, I want to pursue broadcasting. As I retire, there's going to be opportunities in the CFL and college. I want to be a broadcaster. I want to share my energy, my enthusiasm, my knowledge of the game with other people. And to me, this just felt like a great opportunity to get reps, get in front of camera, share my knowledge, and breaking everything down for you guys. So with that being said, this episode you guys are watching right now, I'm going to do one of these every week. Just basically glossing over the week that we just had. I know y'all see my little 1-minute recap I do on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. This is going to be a little bit more in-depth. 15, 20 minutes of me diving into the games, kind of what happened, talking about some of the players that were highlighted, potentially having some guests on, highlighting some of the guys who have done well, and getting their perspective on why that went well. I want to dive into some of those schematics with those guys. So that's going to be this episode. There will also be X's and O's schematic breakdowns. I know y'all want some of that. So I'll get into some of the game highlights, break down some of the X's and O's, why those plays worked, why they didn't, why some teams are having success. So with that being said, let's get into week 2 of the CFL. Okay, the first game of the week, we had Hamilton at Winnipeg. We had Levi versus Zach Collaros. They're both playing at a very high level to start the season. I mean, Bo, even though they lost last week, played extremely well. They moved the ball against Montreal. And Zach goes down, 4th quarter drive against Calgary week 1. This week, throws for over 400 yards. And I thought this after the game. I never said it or tweeted it out, but I can't remember the last time that Winnipeg threw for 400 yards in a football game and lost. And it's been so interesting to see that team through these first couple weeks of the season, how the script has been flipped on them. Their offense has been productive, but their defense has just really struggled to stop the run. Last week against Calgary, you say, hey, they're playing against Dedrick Mills, one of the best running backs in the league, led the league in rushing last year. Okay, that makes sense. This week, they're playing against Hamilton, who doesn't really have a superstar at running back. No offense to any of those guys, but they gave up 171 yards on the ground in both of those weeks, which is just a reoccurring theme. That's going to be an issue. If you can't keep teams in 2nd and long, 2nd and extra, and they're constantly in 2nd and medium, 2nd and short, their entire playbook is opened up, and they're able to kind of have their way with you. That's what we saw with Winnipeg this week. Hamilton, on the other side of things, Levi, man, I've been very impressed with the way that he's playing, and all of these CFL quarterbacks that are getting up into their late 30s, early 40s are playing, they're aging like fine wine. And Levi, almost 80% completion, threw for over 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. When you're not turning the ball over, and Levi seeing the defense the way that he was, that's going to be a very dangerous team to beat, especially with the receiving core that they have. Carrick Wheatfall, who was a great player for Winnipeg last couple years, is now joining them, had over 100 yards last week. You got Keandre Smith, who has been a great player last year and is really coming to his own as one of the star Canadians in the league. Myron Mitchell, okay? You might not know that name, but he was with Winnipeg for a year, was in camp. I think that guy is extremely explosive, and you saw him have 5 catches for 50 yards as a role player last week. Kenny Lawler, we haven't even seen anything from him this season because every team is just focused on, let's stop Kenny. Let's let these other guys beat us, and that's what's happening. And then Curly Gittens as well. Just an unbelievable receiving core. I think when this team is healthy, and those receivers are all out on the field, that's one of the most dangerous receiving cores in the CFL. I'm excited to watch this Hamilton offense as they progress throughout the season, especially if Bo can keep seeing the defense and playing clean football the way that he has. Let's jump out to Toronto. Toronto at Montreal on Friday night. Those quarterbacks lit it up. Chad Kelly, Davis Alexander. Chad Kelly, we all remember 2 years ago, MOP, tragic injury, out for the entire season, missed all last year. It's good to see him back on the field. High-level quarterback play is always good for the league, so great to see him back out there throwing for over 400 yards. Davis Alexander also threw for over 400. No turnovers. Those guys combined for over 960 yards. Over 960 yards and 5 touchdowns. Those guys were absolutely dialed in. And look, this Montreal offense, it's a very interesting offense schematically. They do a lot of pure progression stuff. They're always double chipping, which from the standpoint of the way that they like to press the ball down the field and the way that Davis is not afraid to launch that ball, it's great to have those chippers on the end to give him a little bit of extra time so he can look downfield and launch the football. But at the end of the day, I always think it's better if you're getting 5 or 6 guys out in the pass, but they found ways to be extremely productive when they're chipping, when they're doing pure progression, not really reading off rotation of the safeties, and we'll get into more of that stuff as we get into some of the schematics, but just glossing over some of their offensive schematics, if you will. But man, Davis Alexander, 13-0 in the regular season. I know he doesn't like to talk about it because they lost the Grey Cup and whatever. I know him very well. We trained together in the offseason. Absolutely great competitor, one of the strongest arms I've ever been around. I love watching him play football. And I got to give a shout out to Tyson Philpott as well. He got a big extension in the offseason, one of the highest paid receivers, and he's playing like one of the best receivers in the league. He is earning that money. He had almost 200 yards receiving, couple tubs through these first couple weeks. He looks like one of the best receivers in the game. Very excited for Tyson. Unbelievable person, unbelievable player. And another shout out to Jareth Stearns. He went for 114 yards. He was kind of a role player for us in Winnipeg last year. Got a little banged up. That dude comes in, grinds, works day in and day out. Just a great mentality, great person. Could not be happier for a guy getting a 100-yard game last week and helping his team to victory. And at the end of the day, when you look at these offensive shootouts, what does it come down to? It comes down to turnovers and special teams. And that's what Montreal won. Chad Kelly throws an interception. Montreal makes a big play on special teams. There's the game for you, right? It comes down in a 37-30 ball game. Those turnovers, those big swing plays, those are what make all the difference. Montreal comes out on top. They moved to 2-0 on the season. Final game of the weekend. We got BC at Sask. Electric atmosphere. Look, we all know I played for Winnipeg, but man, I'm just in favor of fans showing out and bringing juice to games. And that's what we saw in Sask this weekend. I think they had over 30,000 at the game. They raised their Grey Cup banner. The atmosphere was electric, especially late in the game when it was getting tight. Almost kind of an exact replica of how the West Final ended up playing out last year. But again, we are just seeing so much high-level quarterback play from these quarterbacks in the CFL. Nathan Rourke goes for 390 total yards and a touchdown. And Trevor Harris, I am so impressed with the way that he came out and spread the ball around this week. 83% completion, 417 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 83% completion. I think he was like 30 for 36. Unbelievable to come out, spread the ball around, and that Sask receiving core looks deadly when they are healthy. I was the first one to say, I think I put something out on the internet earlier this offseason. Hey, I think Sask might have lost his step in free agency. They lost some pieces. They did not lose a step. They looked like the team to beat. They look extremely dangerous. And my concerns with BC are still the same as last year. They didn't really run the ball. Nathan Rourke is their biggest running threat this week. You know, they're spreading touches around through the offense and in the passing game, but there's got to be balance, especially late in the season when it starts getting cold. Got to start establishing a run game, not just in the RPO world. Also defensively, BC tried to mix it up, right? They brought a lot of cover zero pressure. So you guys saw my breakdown on social media about cover zero. They're blitzing generally one more guy than the offense can block. And they did that, but they just kept going to it. And Trevor Harris, guy's 40 years old. He's seen everything. You're not going to trick him with cover zero. He knows where to go with the ball. He knows where his hot route is. He's going to get the ball out of his hands and get completions. And that's what he did. He exposed those pressures. So BC's got to find a way to pressure the quarterback and get home if they want to have success and protect some of the back end issues. But Trevor Harris, the way he's seeing the ball and distributing, extremely impressive. Which leads me to my first ever Seeing It Like Strev award, the Seeing It award for the quarterback who is seeing it this week. What does it mean to be seeing it? When you're a quarterback and you step out on the field, there's a lot of things going on. A lot happening. Defenses are moving, we're moving, you're communicating with guys. But when you're seeing it, You are absolutely dialed in on what's going on the other side of the ball. Things are moving slow for you. You know where your check down is. You know where your hot is. You know where your explosive is. And that was Trevor Harris this week. That dude was seeing it, distributing the ball all over the field. Didn't matter if they were dropping 8, dropping 9, bringing 7. He knew exactly where to go with the ball. And his only completions were bang, bang plays, going to the right spot with the football. Trevor Harris, you were seeing it this week. Love watching you play football, bro. All right, let's get into next week. Let's preview next week. We've got some really exciting games coming up. We're done with these 3-team bye weeks. I'm sick of that. I don't understand it. I put that out as well. Hey, can someone explain this to me? I know the World Cup, we're back to 8 teams playing this week. I'm excited to see them. We got BC going to Hamilton, first game of the weekend. Nathan Rourke versus Bo Levi. They had a great matchup last year in Hamilton. I think this is going to be another very interesting matchup. We know BC's got the explosive offense with Nathan Rourke passing the ball. You know, Bo Levi, again, playing extremely good football. But I'm excited to see if this BC defense can stiffen up against the pass of Hamilton this week. The way that we just talked about Hamilton's receiving corps potentially being one of the best in the league, can BC tighten up? Can they find a way to get pressure on the back end and relieve some of that pressure for their defensive backs? They got to find a way to get home with Bo. If you can get pressure on Bo and get him off his spots, you may have opportunities to create turnovers and explosive plays on defense, but they got to do that and not just bring in cover 0, because Bo, again, is a veteran. You're not going to trick him with that. So can we bring 4 strong? Can we bring 2 to the back? Can we find ways to bring some unique pressures and try to make him hot and put a pressure on him and get him off his spot? I'm excited to see how BC comes out and adjusts this week from what they did last week, see if they can stiffen up against the pass. We've also got Toronto and Ottawa. I can't wait to see Ottawa's offense. Look, last game, week 1, it's a slop fest, right? It's a rainy game, but they've got some pieces on offense. Jake Mayer, I'm a believer in him. He did some really good things when he was in Calgary. He's got another opportunity to go out and be the starter, and I feel like he's got a great appreciation for this opportunity he has. He got voted as a captain by his teammates, and I think he's a good player. I think he can really have an opportunity to make this Ottawa team very competitive this year. And let's see if Chad Kelly can continue what he did last week. He didn't have any rust from being out for an entire season. You know, I'm always focused on quarterbacks. I think a lot of this game is quarterback centered. That's always what I'm going to focus on when it comes to matchups. So I'm excited to see, can this Ottawa defense slow down Toronto? And Jake Mayer, let's go out when it's not raining. Let's put some points on the board and drive the field just like you did against Edmonton. Just came up a little bit short. We've got Montreal going to Edmonton in our 3rd game of the weekend. Look, we're all talking about Davis Alexander being 13-0 in the regular season. We're talking about this Montreal offense and all the different ways that they're able to find explosive plays down the field. Edmonton as well, I think they've got a great receiving core. I think Cody Fajardo is a professional. He's a Grey Cup champion. He knows where to go with the football. And I feel like every game he plays is competitive. He keeps his team in the game. He knows where to distribute the football. He's accurate. He's not afraid to push the ball downfield. We've seen him do it time and time again. So let's see if Edmonton can come out and really challenge Montreal at home at Edmonton. Also, let's not forget about Justin Rankin. To me, best running back in the league. The way that he can have power, have explosiveness, but also take it 80 to the crib. We saw that 2 weeks ago against Ottawa in the rain. I think he had almost 100 receiving and 100 rushing. I think he's the best running back in the league. That offense is going to run behind him. And if they can get the run game going, I think Cody Fajardo is going to be extremely efficient and be able to get explosive in the pass game, off play action and move in the pocket, different things like that. That's going to be a good matchup. And then finally, we end the week with, to me, I think the best matchup. We got Sask going to Calgary. Look, Vernon Adams and Dedrick Mills, that is an explosive backfield. The way that Vernon Adams can create off-schedule plays, he's one of the best in the league at doing that. And Dedrick Mills, again, led the league last year in rushing. I think that's a very explosive offense. They've just got to limit mistakes. They can't turn the ball over. They can't throw interceptions. They don't want to fumble. That's always been the thing. Like, if Calgary can just stay on the field and not turn the ball over and not give the other team easy possessions, man, they are a great defense. They've also, a great team. They've also got a great defense. They've got Moncrief. They've got Webb. They've got some really, really talented players on that defense, and they do a really good job moving those guys around. Maybe we'll get into that of the breakdown of this game this week, but a lot of what they do with 6 and 9 is going to predicate what they do in the back end. They do a great job of mixing up those looks and coverages and putting those guys in opportune positions. I'm excited to see how they come out and try to match up against this SAS receiving core. We just talked about how efficient Trevor Harris was this past week. We didn't even really get to see AJ Olette get going. So they're going to have to find creative ways to get pressure up front on Trevor Harris, something that BC really was not able to do, whether that's blitzing Moncrief off the edge, finding different ways to roll, bring unique pressures from the boundary. They're going to have to find a way to do that in order to match up against this Sask offense, because if you let Trevor Harris play in rhythm and play on time, he's one of the most dangerous quarterbacks because he sees the ball, he sees the field, and he gets the ball out faster than anybody else in the league. So cannot wait for this next week of games, this next slate, and I'm excited for this, man. See it like Strev. I appreciate all you guys' support. If you guys are into this, drop me a comment, shoot me a message, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys next week. We'll have some scheme breakdowns. We'll have our little outline, our game breakdown here as well. Appreciate you guys. Keep seeing it like Strev.